The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on what part of the world you might be listening in from. Hi, my name is Jim Alpizer, and I'd like to thank you as a Garmin dealer for participating in our dealer webinar. We've got some very exciting new products to share and to talk with you about. And so we're really excited to have this opportunity to give you the very first possible look at what we've got going on. If you were up early this morning, you might have already seen some of the press release information on some of these new products come out, and our marketing memo for more dealer information on this exciting announcement will be coming into your inbox anytime now. So without any further ado, we've got a great team here assembled to step you through the Flightstream products, but I'm going to go ahead and hand over the presentation to Mr. Jim Laster. But also in the room, we've got Trek Waller here to help from a support standpoint, and a whole host of other folks to answer any questions you may have. So without any further ado, Jim, take it away.
All right, how's it going, guys? Much like Jim said, we appreciate your guys' time here with us. We'll go through the presentation. And if you have questions, we're going to have a Q&A session at the end. However, if it's something that you think you might forget, go ahead and type in your question area, and there's a moderator, it's Pat Coleman. He will be able to respond as they come in, and at the end, we'll go through and pick the most pertinent questions and answer them from there. So I'm sorry, English is the only language you know in here. So going forward, the sales staff is in here, so if you have any additional questions after this is over, the regional sales managers worldwide would be able to help in any way possible. So moving forward, let's talk about the agenda. We're going to go over what Connext is, the new product announcements, and how Flightstream fits in the Connext overview. With all the magic, we're going to have to do some software updates, and we're going to talk about that for the GTN, the GNS, and the GDL88 software updates. So we'll touch on all of those. And then just some housekeeping questions. We always talked about the question parts, and unfortunately the webinar will not be available for recording. So as questions come in, just go ahead and hit up the RSMs for them as you need them, and we can go from there. Much as Jim mentioned earlier, you will see a slew of memos come out to you today. All three of these will hit your inbox here shortly. Hopefully not while we're on the phone here, but maybe shortly after. So that will all be en route to you. And we'll go ahead and start the Connext capable part. So really what we try to do is create a ecosystem, and what we're really looking for is a way to connect people, information, and devices. What that really just means is once you're in, you're in. The Garmin products work well with Garmin products work well with other products, other manufacturers. Everything's really kind of coming under one shell here. So if you see that center symbol there, that really is the symbol that we're using to signify it's in the system or it's in the ecosystem. that will allow us to do flight planning, traffic, weather, GPS, attitude, and that's just some of the products that are tied into Connext, and we'll go into greater depth here shortly. So the current Connext goals. With the Flightstream release, we are now going to be allowed to add to the Connext ecosystem flight planning, weather and traffic display on mobile devices, position, velocity, and attitude data on mobile devices, and increase safety and situational awareness. So this is adding to the lineup that we've already had out there for worldwide data, email and text messages. I know you may have seen on the Garmin D2 watch and the bird boxes that the Connext logo is on there. All that wireless technology is now being kind of encompassed into that one system of Connext. So flight planning, let's touch on that one. This is a big one for us. We will allow a mobile device to send a flight plan to an avionics suite, so to a GNS or a GTN product. Really, the home run here is that it goes both ways. For those guys that have had their 496, 696 hardwired into their panel, they're used to seeing that flight plan downloaded onto their portable device, and it's just a great MFD for them. Well, now we can do that with the iPad now wirelessly. The great thing here is it goes both ways, so we can make changes on the flight plan that goes back to the avionics. So that's a big piece. We're going to have some screens here shortly to show that. Weather and traffic display. So what you're seeing on your GTN or your GNS will now be displayed on your Garmin Pilot application on the iPad and Android. So if you have a GDL88 or a GDL69, both of those products will now be displayed with a Flightstream 210 in there. So that's just a great addition. I know having XM on an iPad has been a great need out there, and that's something exciting. Next step would be GPS and attitude data. So we have the GDL39 3D out there right now. It's been it had some great reviews. Well, what we did is we took that information and tied it into the Flightstream as well, and it's being pumped out to the iPad as well as to the other mobile devices.
One of the nice things about this Connext ecosystem is really reinforcing the fact that your customers have made a significant investment in Garmin products, and now with that investment that they've already made, whether it's a GTN or a GDL88 or a GDL69, they're now enabled and empowered to display a lot of those features and capabilities on their mobile devices that they've started using much more in the cockpit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jim. So let's talk about where all the magic comes from. It's going to be this magic little black box right here. We have two different flavors of the Flightstream. We'll touch that a little bit more here as well. There's a 210 and a 110. The 110 is really going to be the basic entry level, and that will be something that will do the basic weather and GPS position. The 210 is the one that will allow the AHRS data, the flight plan transfer, so we're going to touch on that a little bit more. So this is a remotely installed Bluetooth device. I do want to note that we'll touch on specs later, but you can install this both inside the aircraft as well as outside. It has been TSO'd for that temperature variance. It is equipped to be wired in, obviously, so that way there's no separate batteries or anything that needs to be there. And it is, like we talked about before, bi-directional, which means it'll talk to the tablets and from the tablet into the avionics. One of the common questions internally has always been how many? Well, you can do up to 4 compatible devices. The good news here is you can, at any time, go through and select and remove devices as they come and go. So that is a great addition. So the 110, so let's talk about what it does. It's designed to be paired with the GDL88 or the GDL69 or 69 Alpha. So what that means now is we're going to be able to control the audio for the SXM audio from our mobile devices, like you can see here on the iPhone, or on the iPad itself. So if my son's in the back seat listening and rocking out to some music I'm not a fan of, I can whip out my iPad and change the song, or even the volume right there. Obviously provides the weather and traffic update here as well, and it can be used as your avionics display. So if you needed that extra MFD, or if you have a product line in there that you don't have that great display, It just doesn't make sense to be in the airplane. This is exactly what the 110 is for. So it allows to have that in there. And this is all being displayed on Garmin Pilot. Now let's talk about the 210. That includes all the features of the 110 and then adds the GTN and GNS WAS connectivity, which means you can install the GDL88 with a GTN or GNS to provide the position source. To get the position source on the 110, you'd have to have the 88 with WAS. Okay, now back to the 210, that will provide a backup attitude information to Garmin Pilot via the internal AHRS. That AHRS is inside that little black box I just showed you. So it's not requiring an additional AHRS. And that allows for the two-way flight plan transfer. So let's let that last bullet soak in a little bit. So big knob, little knob was a lot of fun for the GNS guys. Well, now it'll be even better with doing it all via the iPad and pushing it in, which would also enable them to do Victor Airways, which has always been a big add. So this should be a no-brainer for the GNS guys to come back and add this box to the GNS stack. And then obviously it really sings well with the GTN.
And another really great feature of the 210 and your customer who made a big investment in installing Garmin products, if they have a G500 or 600, we actually are able to pass through our certified attitude information with a future software update to the G500, 600. So later this year, we're going to be adding even more Connext capability in this ecosystem with an update to the G500 and 600 to give you even more capability. So we'll touch on that a little bit more in another couple slides.
All right, thanks, Jim. So Flightstream 210, what is it compatible with? Well, obviously the GTN is 650 and 750. Enables flight plan transfer to and from Garmin Pilot. So really this kind of hits home, the image here hits home what it's doing. So we're sending our flight plans to and from, and then we'll also be able to create our flight plans in Garmin Pilot. So here on the screen you'll be able to notice that we have a flight plan set up to go from Teterboro all the way down the East Coast, which obviously that's no fun to add in manually. So having it done quick and easy on the iPad, what you do then is you look for the little Connext symbol at the top, which I love to call our cone head symbol, which we'll touch on later. And then that'll pop down a little radial and say, GTN, do you want to send this to, or do you want to pull from? And then if you also have your D2 watch on, it'll also be able to push that to your D2 watch. Once again, ecosystem. Garmin products are in the cockpit. We're going to be able to play with all of it now. So you'll be able to send to GTN, and then that will push right into the GTN 750. And you'll see there that it pops up in the message. So this is a really important point. What this means is if there's multiple users in the aircraft, you can't just change your direction of flight without accepting it. That is one of the big things we stress in here. So if you and another pilot are filing or trying to change the flight plan, you're going to have to accept one or the other. It won't just automatically change. So if my son's in the back seat, he can't go GPS direct to Disneyland. So we'll stay on course where we're headed. So as you'll see there on the left, it says new flight plan. You just press that, and it actually brings up the overview. So you can see that we're K Teterboro all the way down to KDK or FDK, and you see the entire overview on the right in the image. Hey, that's exactly the flight plan I want. All you have to do is hit the activate button, and we are off and running in our active flight plan. Autopilot's flew in, having a good time. Now I have time to go ahead and change the music from Eric Clapton to Dead Mouse. So we are now flying. That's really the overview. So looking at Garmin Pilot, you'll notice here on the left, that's not the United States. So we just recently announced a Garmin Pilot worldwide version. So the guys that are overseas, the Connext box will work with that as well. And we just wanted to show that there as well. And here on the right side, just another image there showing the nav there as well. So it's not just US-centric. This will work on Garmin Pilot that just got released globally. Okay, interfaces. So GTN, this GPS position source and flight plan transfer. This is all for the Flightstream 210 is what we're still talking about here. The GDL88 will allow you to do ADS-B weather and traffic as well as your GPS position if you have the WASP version. The GNS will allow GPS position and flight plan transfer. GDL89 and 69 alpha will allow you to do the XM weather on iPad as well as audio control. And then attitude information later this year, like Jim touched on, we'll be able to listen to that AHRS data off the HSDB line and go ahead and put that on the Garmin Pilot application as well.
And just to maybe hit on one other thing, so we've got a lot of listeners from outside of North America, and just to hammer home the point of the capabilities of these products to the global audience, flight plan transferring, that can happen anywhere in the world, as well as being able to take the certified GPS position source and send that to your tablet, as well as being able to take your attitude data from G500 and 600 in the future. That'll be coming at the end of the year for that interface. So quite a lot of capability for our global customers, even more capability for those in North America who have access to data link weather.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jim. Flightstream features with the Navigator. So once again, we'll reinforce there's no need for batteries or cords. This is an installed product. To activate the flight plan that's automatically sent, you've got to accept that. So it must be confirmed by the pilot. So literally, you have the flight plan in hand. Once it's been the ATC proposed route, you walk into the airplane, you get the message for new flight plan, you hit new flight plan, it'll load the airways as waypoints into the GNS products. So a big point of reference here is that GNS guys will not be able to collapse them into airways. They will just load all of the points in the airway. So that's a big note there. But then obviously we talked about here, you can see this is a different flight plan that's been loaded, and either you have the option to store or to activate. So if you have common routes that you take to multiple locations, you can just store them all, do all of them on the iPad, bring it into the cockpit, and go ahead and just store them internally to the GTN. And then the auto connect really means that you have to pair once. So the beauty here is the dealers that are online here, when you install this, you're going to want to have the customer's iPad with you, and you're going to want to do the auto connect for them. So that way, literally, every time they get in the airplane, it will auto connect for them. So if it's them and their wife and their kids, you're going to ask for all three, you'll connect them all, and it's really not that difficult. You're going to get 3 easy steps to connect. All you got to do is check out what it says here, steps 1, 2, and 3. Make sure they have the Garmin Pilot application installed on the iPad. Power on the aircraft. Then you're going to go to settings on the phone or the tablet. Pair it via Bluetooth like you would any other Bluetooth device. Now, one of the big notes here, if you have your Flightstream Model 210 is not connected to an in-cockpit display, which means no GTN, no GNS, it will go into pairing mode for 1 minute after power up. So you have got to wait for the 1 minute to pass by. So just a note there, if the guy installed the 210 into, like, let's say a 152 that doesn't have a 430 or GTN, they're going to have to wait for 1 minute for it to pair. But it shouldn't be too bad. 60 seconds should pass quickly. But that's in that rare case of only the 210 without a display. If it's automatically going to a GNS or GTN, we're not going to have to wait for that 1 minute. And that step only has to happen once, just to connect the first time. Every time after that, it will automatically connect. And then step 3, obviously, is in a Garmin Pilot application, just go to the Connect page, and you'll be able to see the connection to make sure it's good, just to confirm and get the warm, fuzzy feeling that it's working for you. So as you can see, we're really tying the Connext logo and name to everything. So as you start to see products come out from here on out, and they have that logo, you know it's in the system. It's all part of the ecosystem and will communicate in there. So that's something to start looking for now. It's already been embedded in software that you guys have seen, so now it should make more sense. Let's talk about managing paired devices. So we talked about having the customer's devices in there. Let's say you have your son or your daughter bring a friend along, and you wanted to have him be in there to listen to or view the flight plan, but when he leaves, you don't want to have that be in the paired devices list. So what you would do is you'd go into, on the GTN, go to the home screen, then System, and then Connext Setup, and this is the page you'd see. And then obviously you can import flight plans, you can turn that on and off, and then below there the Bluetooth setup, you'll be able to see where it says the Flightstream name and then Manage Paired Devices. So you would select Manage Paired Devices, and then you'll be able to see all of the tablets and phones that are there. Now, if Jacob was only in the airplane for one time, you can remove both his tablet and his phone from there. If you happen to be Jacob, you're going to want the auto reconnect to be enabled, so you're going to make sure those are selected. Connected devices appear as well. Obviously, you can see if your tablet's in there and your phone's left in the hangar. It's a good place to find out if it's in the airplane or not. So the auto reconnect feature works, and it does work pretty well. We've actually borrowed some stuff from the other side of the house that's really helped our Bluetooth connectivity from our consumer side. So that's really strengthened our Bluetooth.
And this is also one of the great security features that we have built into the system as well. So the pilot, with immediate access to the GTN or the avionics, is really in complete control as far as who can do the flight plan importing and exporting. So, and we also have that acknowledgement step as you import the flight plan to say, yes, that's the flight plan I wanted to import, and so it's a great system to offer a couple of different layers of security as well.
Okay, so let's take a look at really what the difference is now that we've talked about the two announcements of the new products, the Flightstream 110 and 210. So the 110, we've got that rock solid GPS, the EDSB weather and traffic when it's connected to an 88, the Sirius XM weather when connected to a GDL69. When it's a 69 Alpha, you'll get the audio controls, and they're obviously compatible with both those products. That's the 110. When you go to the 210, you get the attitude information, two-way flight plan transfer, and that's compatible with the 430 and the 530 in GTN series for position source. You do not have to have the 88 with WAS. So that's really the difference there. I'd imagine you're going to have a pretty good rush on GNS guys that are going to want to get this installed. So obviously the 210 makes a lot of sense for them. The guys that are just looking for a compliant aircraft but want to see some of that benefit coming back into them, that 110 is really geared for them. So that's kind of how we viewed them. So the great question is going to be, how much is it? This has all been great and this is really exciting, but how much is it?
$1 million, $2 million.
For one easy payment, you can get it for list price, the 210, $999. So we were really excited to keep the cost down and to really land on an attractive price. And if they want the 110, that's $549. So we feel pretty happy about where we landed on pricing, and we're excited to be there. So some more additional great news. Well, now that I know how much it is, what it does, when can I have it? Availability. The Flightstream 110 and 210 are expected to be shipping August of this year for North America and September of this year outside the U.S. We are now accepting orders. If you want to hang up now and order 45, I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and do that. Joking aside, we'll continue here. Technical specifications. It's not that big, it's not that wide, and it's not that tall. So
and it's not that heavy.
And it's really not that heavy. So realistically, the real big note here is the temperature range is -20 to +70 C, so it can be mounted in a lot of locations there. The input voltage range, obviously we'll be able to do the 14 to 28 volt aircraft. Software compliance and environmental, it's compliant with DO 178B as well as the 160F. So we're pretty happy that we've hit all the major bases there. It really is about the size of an iPhone. So there on the left is your Flightstream 210, and on the right is an iPhone 5S. So that kind of hits home what you're looking at. If you take a side view, it's about 2 iPhones stacked on top of each other tall. So it really isn't that big. Well, now the next question is, that's all great. Where do I put it? So really the best place to put it is floor mounted beneath the pilot seat or the co-pilot seat. That's ideal for almost all of our aircraft. It has been TSO authorized under TSO C157. And STC for GTNs will be the first week of August. And that's obviously using the AML from the GTNs. So Note that in small aircraft, it is recommended to be in the avionics rack aft of the baggage area. And also note that it is in a twin engine or in a larger aircraft to be mounted forward of the avionics bay in the nose. So the aft avionics bay is really not great for that twin. It's really great for the single engine. So that's a big takeaway here on the installation considerations. And obviously it's okay to be mounted in or out a pressurized vessel. So if you need to have that thing outside with the avionics and bring in the wires to the GTNs, that's fine. It does come with a connector kit and a 15-pin D-sub connectors. So on to mounting considerations. Flightstream 210. Like we said, there's an AHRS in there. The 110 is not as critical because of the AHRS is not in there, but for the 210, let's try to minimize the vibration in there for obvious reasons. We're not advising to use shock mounting, and as long as you can count to 4, we can get 4 screws mounted in there. And minimal wirings means quick installation. So really, we're pretty excited about that. On that diagram there on the right side, you'll see where it says direction of flight. So as long as we can follow that arrow out the nose of the aircraft, we can really mount this thing anywhere. So as far as pitch, it can be up to 45 degrees of centerline, and for roll, up to 180, which means upside down. So we can mount this thing just about anywhere in the aircraft if we need to get creative. And it may be mounted off-center of the aircraft centerline. As long as the connectors are pointed in the direction of flight, which is out the nose, then we can really get this thing installed. What will happen is the Garmin Pilot application will hence cage the AHRS or will tell it what's level. That way we can do it remotely, and it's not something that you have to level the aircraft for. I know that's a long time for installation. We just don't have to worry about that.
And better yet, if you've got a, again, G500, G600 installed, that can be wired into the Connext ecosystem, if you will. And what will happen then is it'll actually take the best available attitude source. So most of the time that's going to be your attitude data coming from the certified avionics. But you've got a backup then in the Flightstream 210 if you go ahead and buy that, since it does have the internal sensor as well.
It's a true backup system there. So, interface summary. The pilots in the room may not know what this means, but the guys looking at the screen probably will. Really, it's telling you that the 3 interfaces are RS-232, RS-422, and ARINC-429. Obviously, we labeled out what product lines are here. They all touch the Flightstream, and then obviously the Flightstream outputs Bluetooth to ADSB out, the ARINC-429 labels, attitude information, audio control, flight plans, GPS, and weather. So you can see here all the inputs are there. A big note here on the bottom is the Flightstream 210 only supports a connection to 1 Garmin navigator at a time. So it is recommended to connect the Flightstream to the #1 navigator. So if we have a pair of GTNs, install it to the #1 GTN. If you have a GTN and GNS installation, connect it to the GTN. So that's the basic installations. Here's some more diagrams for you guys. As a great mentor of mine always said, let's spend a lot of time on the pictures. So
the beauty of this picture, though, is that it's a real simple installation. It's basically power, ground, and a couple of data wires. So there's not a lot going on with the installation.
Yeah. So that's really the beauty here, is that you can see it's a quick and easy installation. So all right, what software is needed? What are we on the hook for? Flightstream 110, 210, version 211, available August. That'll ship in the box out. GTN 5.11, August 2014. GNS 5.20, TSO'd in August. GDL88 version 3, available in August. GDL69 version 4.2 is available today. G3X, that will work with this, will be available in Q3 of this year. Garmin Pilot will have the Connext enabled software in it on August 6th. And that will be both for iOS and Android. And that's really a big handout to the Garmin Pilot development team to have that hit both platforms.
So we've already gotten a handful of questions. I encourage you to continue to type in your questions if you have some questions, but I'll cut one off at the pass here. As we think about our integrated flight decks, Been getting a lot of questions about its compatibility, Flightstream 210 compatibility with the G1000 or G3000 or even potentially G5000. We do have our integrated flight decks in mind for this solution going forward. However, that time frame to get that compatibility is it's going to be a while yet before that actually becomes available. First, Garmin needs to complete the software development for G1000, and then we need to pass that software to our aircraft manufacturing partners for certification into to their airframes. So we do have this in our thoughts, in our minds, and we do hope to have solutions for G1000 equipped aircraft in the future, but we don't have exact or specifics that we can offer at this time.
Yep. All right. Well, if we stopped right here, I think it'd be a great day, but we got more. So GTN software updates, we touched briefly on there's a GTN software update coming, and I'll be honest, I'm equally excited about the upgrades to GTN as I am the Flightstream. So Flightstream 5.1 obviously adds Connext capability. You can see here on the right side there's some new stuff on the screen here that we'll be able to touch base on. Just to note a couple of things that you'll be able to see. There's new buttons here, as well as a distance from and destination, and buttons are here. So we'll go through some of that here in a second. Simplified database updates. Well, what does that mean? That now means if you have a dual GTN installation or a G500 and GTN installation, you only need to bring one card back home from your top GTN, your #1 navigator. That database will be downloaded on your computer and onto the card. You only need to bring the one card back to that GTN. Once you've loaded that database, it will store those databases in the GTN and will downfill them into the other GTN products or over to the G500 once its software is compatible. And then we'll also hold standby databases. So this is really a G1000 that's available today in the G1000. We're bringing it to the GTN and G500. So if you have an effective database update that's going to happen in 3 days and you're able to download it, that will come directly in and hold it. Once you start on that day that it's effective, it will automatically update the database for you. That's a big one for us. This is kind of how it works for the database card. Comes with the main GTN and will push down to the 500 and 600 and the other GTNs. So that really, really brings down the amount of time spent updating databases with the engine running or with that going. And on top of this, there's really not a good slide for it, but I want to bring it up. We're also bringing out a great way to update databases in the future, coming later this year. That's going to be an application on the computer that will actually call home once a day via, obviously, the internet and say, hey, is there downloads available? We'll automatically start downloading the databases that are available from their FlyGarmin account. We'll flag the user or the owner and say, hey, you have databases that are available. You'll connect the data card to the computer, the SD card to the computer. The transfer process is a short amount of time. It's a matter of minutes, not an hour. That's all pushed over. Then he's done. Then he only has to take that card back to the top GTN, pop it in. It'll downfill to the other units. So we've really taken that downloading time per device down to one device, and we'll do the downloading part on our own. So that guy that was spending hours dealing with databases is now minutes. So that is a huge win for Garmin and for really the customers. So next, we want to talk about the frequency labeling. What this really is bringing a GTR and a GNC function to the GTN. If you look in the top left corner of this image, you'll see that the comm box is now labeled with tower and ATIS, so you know who you're talking to and if you have tuned in the correct frequency. So that's a great little add for us. Fast find. So really, what they've done is some very smart guys up in sales figured out a way to predict what you want to put into the GTN. So it knows your current location. So let's say if we're based in Salem and you start to type in KP, it probably doesn't think you want to go to Cape Papa, that's out in Alaska. It's going to take you to KPDX because that's your closest one. If you type on the right side, you'll see where it says KPDX. if you touch that, it'll load that into the flight plan. Now, if I type in KS, it's not going to take us to Sarasota in Florida. The next logical spot is going to be Seattle. And now that we have a north trend, it'll keep loading the most logical waypoints in the direction of flight.
One of the great ways that this fast find function is going to be really attractive for folks is obviously for searching airports, that could be one thing, but you might be traveling across country. Another great way is if you need to find the intersection that ATC has given you. So as ATC gives you an intersection as you're coming in on arrival that you need to intercept, whether you're flying VFR or IFR, this fast find function is really going to help narrow down your choices for being able to dial that one up.
Yeah, because we all know how everything's spelled like it sounds, right? So,
exactly.
That's a great addition here as well. So, next is Airspace Attitude Overlay and Smart Airspace. So if you notice there to the right of the helicopter, there's a 100 with a line and surface. What that's telling us is the floor and the ceiling of that airspace. So with a quick glance to the GTN, we now know if the airspace is there. On top of that, Smart Airspace is enabled. So the guys in Europe are really going to be happy to hear this because it'll minimize airspace that is not pertinent to you or your altitude. So you have a buffer of 300 feet, and then it's a running algorithm. So if you start a climb, and it knows you're going to climb through airspace, it'll show that. It will always show it, but it'll be a real fine line so it doesn't clutter the screen. But if it's something that needs to be a little bit more prudent, it'll be that bold line. So the Smart Airspace we've been doing for years on the portable device, and we finally brought it to the GTN. So the airspace overlays and the Smart Airspace is a big add here for us. Additionally, for the rotary guys and for the guys that like to fly low, we've added a wire-aware database that will actually bring in power lines. The great part there, as you can see here on the right side, the red and the yellow and the white, those are actually the power line databases on there. Another neat point that I'd like to bring up is that you'll see the obstacles there. If they are now windmills, they will show the windmills with the three props on it, so you know you're coming towards a wind field farm instead of a radio farm, so you kind of just have an idea of what to expect, what's in front of you. So just these little things are making things quite a lot easier to use. And now will be the time that I want to touch base on things that we led to a little bit earlier. So this now is a button. So what that means for us is we can now create our user-defined data fields into buttons or actionable things. So we can make that timer active right there. So you can start, reset a timer in that corner. You can change to a weather overlay, a weather radar control, so you don't have to leave the map page to change your tilt and gain on your weather radar. I know that's a huge one. I was really excited to see that one. You can do a charts shortcut, a traffic page shortcut, user comm shortcut.
Every single user-definable data field that we've had in the past for both the GTN 650 and the GTN 750 can now be customized and optimized for however the pilot wants to configure their avionics. And so, as Jim was talking about, the lower right-hand corner says GEN timer. It's a general timer. So they can reconfigure that button to be whatever they want to be. And there's a big, long list of choices that they're going to have. And one of the most popular things that folks have been asking for over time is being able to get your distance and radial off of a VOR. So guess what? We've got the ability now to customize that very thing on any GTN 650 or 750 by reprogramming one of your data fields, and you're going to get the distance and radial. As we're showing up there towards the top, KSLE, this one's actually giving you distance and radial from an airport, but you can also do it from your VOR, and we're giving cardinal directions, but you can also have that display in a digital format as well.
Yeah, so here's a good example of the VOR. Right below it, actually, you'll see an RA with a readout. It's a pretty big deal. We have a radar altimeter output there as well. So that was a pretty big win. I know the helicopter guys were happy to see that. Not to be overshadowed, we have checklists on the GTN. Touchscreen really does provide a great way to do checklists, and this is really a great addition there as well. So that will be there, available Q3 for the fixed wing guys and Q4 for the helicopter guys. So.
Just a couple of other quick notes as it relates to the wire-aware functionality and the new power line data that we have available. Those are going to be incorporated in different obstacle databases than what customers currently have loaded today. And so on Garmin, on the next release after they've updated their system software, you'll have options for updating your databases. And for those that want the power line data, we have a very detailed database now that has power lines across the entire United States and parts of Canada and Mexico. And but we also have these what are called hotlines that are going to get put into each and every obstacle database that we produce. So if you want the power lines, you're going to have to pay a little bit more money than you're currently paying. But if you just need the hotlines that are kind of the high tension lines over canyons and such forth, those will be available just as part of the standard database going forward with the newer software.
Excellent. All right, so changing gears a little bit, let's talk about Garmin Pilot updates. So we obviously, like we said, just had an update for it for worldwide databases for flight planning, weather, and full feature navigation. Obviously here on the right side you can see that's the overlay for, I believe, Friedrichshafen. And expanded coverage for European charts. Another chart here for Friedrichshafen. The next one would be, this is just weather showing there in Europe as well. If we do one for one, we got to do it for the other, right? So Fast Find got brought to Garmin Pilot. So as you enter in your flight plan, it'll do the predictive Fast Find there as well. Smart Airspace also came to Garmin Pilot. So you can look there. We're looking at Boston's airspace. If anyone's ever been up in that region, you know there's a lot more airspace than that. And that's just because it's kind of like faintly hidden because it's not really prudent to us. The unique radio menu, the target trend, and synthetic vision, obviously that's our unique aspects, and that's there as well.
So for those of you who have been flying behind Garmin Pilot, we thank you for that, and it's been a tremendous asset to our product lineup. For those of you who may not have tried Garmin Pilot in a long time, or maybe never tried it, this is a great opportunity for you to get back into Garmin Pilot and really get a feel for how far it's come and the capabilities. I mean, Garmin Pilot is now your gateway into your avionics. And in addition, with all the other great expanded capabilities like synthetic vision and Fast Find and everything else that Jim mentioned there, it really is a very capable, quality, robust application. So give it a try. It's a free download for 30 days if you've not tried it previously. But we've got a lot of great packages, starting at quarterly pricing or, of course, annual pricing as well. And depending on where you're living, you'll have different prices for different regions and additional add-on capabilities. But one thing that I'll also mention, and this is going to answer one of the questions that we've been getting in that have been typed in, but for navigation features and capabilities, you are going to have different set prices for Garmin Pilot. However, there will be a no-cost version of Garmin Pilot with very basic, very, very limited capability. It'll not have any navigation functionality whatsoever. It will basically be able to serve as a remote control for the XM radio, and I believe there's also some utility functions that can help with installation there as well. And also to be able to update software of your Flightstream 110 and 210 is another function of the Garmin Pilot application. So from a customer standpoint, there's not any significant changes in pricing. It's going to continue to be priced the way it was for the types of features and capabilities they want. But they'll be able to, as an installation facility, you'll be able to do some very basic things as part of the free Garmin Pilot application.
Here's just another great view of what synthetic vision can do for you, and that's in the Garmin Pilot application worldwide as well. So I can't say enough of how far Garmin Pilot's come in such a short time. They've done such a great job up there, so we're happy to have that. All right, let's talk about GNS updates. So I'm going to walk you through really quickly on how we would do this. Version 5.20 adds flight plan transfer to your 210 we ran through this quickly with the GTN. I want to do it again with the GNS. So it allows us to do airways to be loaded into the GNS via the Flightstream. Okay, so what that means is on Garmin Pilot, we've loaded that same Teterboro down to down the East Coast here to head down, and we need to move that into our GNS product. So what would happen is I would hit that cone head symbol right there. So that's the Connext symbol. That's where we stole it from. Not really, just kidding. You hit the cone head symbol at the top, and then you come down and, well, if you really look at this outline here, it really just brings home what Connext is. Your ADS-B, you have excellent coverage there. Right below that, you see flight plan transfers. My 430 is talking to my iPad, so I can send it to that. Oh, I want my watch to be updated as well. I can send it to that. Eric Clapton's getting a little too loud, so I can bring down the music. Well, I have a great shot out the front, and I want my verb to catch that, so I can start my photo right there. That is all Connext. That's all of the ecosystem right there. So that really kind of hits home what we're aiming for. That really elegant little box kind of brings forward what Connext is. So here we would send that from the Garmin Pilot up to the GNS. If you look over at the 530 on the left here, you'll notice that's exactly what's loaded right there. So I just loaded an airway into my 530, and I'm shooting down the East Coast. So that is really what the essence of Connext is, and that's what we're happy to bring. Kind of switching over to the GDL88, software version 3.0 adds Connext support. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. Shares ADS-B weather and traffic up to the Garmin Pilot. And then also one really nice little note that kind of got hidden in here is a on-scene mode for the helo guys. You will decrease your traffic alerts. So let's say if you've arrived at a traffic scene, or if you're doing training in an airport in a vicinity, you can do an on-scene mode and will suppress the traffic alerts. That on-scene mode can also be a user-defined button on the GTN as well, and that's all there in the 88 software. All right, so moving on, really what I want to do is kind of bring us back to where we started. So this picture was loaded here for you. This really is kind of what we're aiming for. No wires, no the batteries that are here are all internal to the units. Everything's clean, and everything's talking to each other. 500's talking GTNs, GTN's talking to the iPad. Really, this is the image that we're hitting home. You will see this image again, and again. This is really what we're aiming for. Our marketing team did a great job putting this together. And once again, you see that little box there that's giving you the Connext love of what it's all about.
So as you can see, we've done a lot of work here to really improve upon the total flying experience. And so I think what we've done with Connext here and the introduction of the Flightstream 110 and 210 really kind of hits it home, but this is hopefully also the springboard for a lot of other great things to continue to come from Garmin. But really we've been working hard on simplifying life for our customers, and simplifying cockpit installations and the interactions that we have with tablets that have become just kind of normal for us in our daily lives now. And that connectivity piece, and really if you think about it from the standpoint of when you wake up in the morning and you're getting ready for a trip, you're getting ready to go fly as a pilot, and you start looking at weather. What's the first thing you do? You start looking at weather, and you start planning that weather, and you can do that on Garmin Pilot while you're connected to the internet at home. You can start planning your flight plan. What's my route going to look like? Do I need to make any weather deviations? So you can start making those accommodations in Garmin Pilot. You can file your flight plan right in Garmin Pilot if you're in the United States. And that then will allow you to access that flight plan via ATC. ATC may come back and actually communicate to you some flight plan amendments prior to your departure. Those come back into Garmin Pilot automatically. You can acknowledge that and then wirelessly transfer that into your Garmin GTN or GNS 430 or 530. So you can really see this life simplified theme is such a powerful thing for customers, and I think they're really going to get excited about this product and the capabilities that we're adding to the GTN and the GNS navigators. In addition to that, all the great software improvements that we've made on the GTN is the result of a lot of great customer feedback. You know, personally, I'm really excited to start flying behind these new customizable data fields where I can make those buttons if I want to, so I can quickly access other pages. It's a tremendous growth capability that we've built inside of the GTN, and we're going to continue to push the envelope of what's possible and what's capable in the avionics world going forward. So again, this is just kind of hopefully the start of a lot of really great things to continue to come from Garmin. We really certainly do appreciate you guys listening in, all the guys and gals out there that have spent almost the past hour with us. That means a lot to us. We appreciate your dedication and your commitment to training and becoming smart on Garmin Pilot. And we've got some really nice promotions out there right now. We've got a lot of folks that we felt have been on the fence, so we kicked off at the beginning of July this Why Are You Waiting rebate. And so now is a great time to jump on board for additional savings, rebate savings. This one will go through the end of August. But it's been, up until this program launched, it had been a long time since we needed to offer a rebate incentive. So I think rebates are probably not happening like they used to. I think the things are hopefully getting better in the real world and the economy and everything else. But we've got a lot of great things. And long story short is now could never be a better time to buy. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and start opening it up to additional questions and answers. We've got about another 10 minutes before this time slot officially ends. So we will probably do a tag team effort here with Pat Coleman and myself going through Q&A. Some of this we've already been through. I'll start stepping through some of these just to see what we can do for you from here. So when will this be available for G1000, G3000? We talked a little bit about that earlier. It's on our roadmap. We want that to happen sooner than later, but it's probably going to be a while, unfortunately. Also, question: will this capability become available for the 796? And I believe that one is also on our roadmap to have some basic functionality with the Flightstream 110, 210. Let's see here, G3X functionality, that's also going to be added. We talked about that in the slides. That's going to be coming in August. Some of our European listeners are asking, what about European approval? So we addressed FAA certifications. That is slated to happen here in August. We actually have already started conversations with the European approval agencies, EASA, and we continue to work closely with them, and we're hopeful that we can have kind of their blessing on things as well before the end of this year. Installation considerations for the Flightstream 110, 210. Is this a dealer installed item? Absolutely. This is tightly integrated with your avionics. It's a very simple installation, but we want our dealers to do these installations, and so this product is included in our installation policy program booklet, so be aware of that. Continuing down the list here, what if there are no GTNs installed? Not a problem. If you don't have a display installed in the aircraft, that's where the Flightstream 110 is potentially a home run product for you. You could install a GDL88 WASP solution. You could be then ADS-B out compliant and then get traffic and weather data on your iPad. So that's a great solution and a very reasonably priced solution as well. Can Connext act as a database card? Unfortunately, no. There is no connectivity to updating databases with the Flightstream 110 or 210. What about subscriptions for Garmin Pilot? As I said earlier, a basic installation, or I'm sorry, you can get XM radio control on Garmin Pilot for free. There will be some other maintenance capabilities through Garmin Pilot that do not cost anything. But as you start getting into flight plan transferring, navigating with Garmin Pilot, synthetic vision, streaming attitude data, all that will then kind of tie into Garmin's standard prices for subscriptions. And They basically start at $75, and then we have different European and global products available that can get you up closer to $200 is kind of the rough range there. But for all the tremendous capability that you get out of Garmin Pilot for navigation and backup capabilities, it's an incredible price for what you're getting there. And we talked about the price of the Flightstream 110, 210 as well. Flightstream being $549 list price, Flightstream 210 being $999. It's a great value. And let's see here. Can I enter GTN frequencies from the tablet? Answer to that question, unfortunately, is no. We don't have any frequency tuning at this time. We'll continue to solicit your comments and feedback on what additional types of capabilities we add into Flightstream going forward. So if you have different thoughts or ideas about what we should be putting into to the solution set here, by all means, share them with us over the communicator here, or talk to your regional sales manager, and we'd love to get a lot more feedback on which direction you'd like this to go. But we've got some additional great ideas and plans with this going forward.
Guys, just a couple more questions that came in late here. A couple people asked if you're able to listen to music on the tablet from the GDL89. At this point, that's not a possibility. It just has a remote controlled capability. Another good question, if you have 2 GTNs, do you need 2 Flightstreams? The answer to that is no. You only need 1 Flightstream, regardless if you have 1 or 2 navigators.
And the primary reason behind just having 1 Flightstream is because you do already have connectivity between all of the avionics in the cockpit. So the avionics are already sharing that information. Firm delivery date, that was another question that popped up, and we're taking orders. The order book is officially open. We expect our first delivery to happen as early as the 2nd week of August. So we've got a bunch of these in our forecast plan, but I certainly recommend you get your orders in early to make sure that we can get you one of those early units. This is going to be a hugely popular product, I think, and it's really going to revolutionize the way folks fly and really simplify their entire flying experience. So we're really excited to have this come out here really in just a matter of days.
Just a couple additional questions. Someone asked, with the database update, does that mean you only need 1 subscription? In order for that to work, you'll need a pilot pack. You can also purchase individual databases to make to have data for all of the products in your cockpit. But the short answer to that question is no. You will need to have databases for each of the up to 4 products, 2 GTNs and 2 G600s.
And this relates back to the database loading, the database sharing. So you basically install your database inside a single GTN, and then that GTN is able to start sharing that data to other GTNs and eventually into G500 and 600. So via the Pilot Pack program, you're still just buying 1 database update. But if you're not a Pilot Pack subscriber, then you'll need to become that subscriber in order to share that information across the cockpit.
Next question, can checklists be customized? As far as that goes, Garmin has a free application on our website called the ACE Checklist Editor, which will allow you to create and fully customize your checklist, and that file will just get loaded onto your SD card for the GTN, and that will add, along with the software, the checklist capability.
Okay. So I think we are starting to run ourselves out of time. If you have any additional questions, by all means, continue to type them in for us or contact your regional sales manager, and we'll be happy to continue responding those offline or via conversations with your sales manager. But again, thank you so much for listening in. It's been a lot of information. Might even feel like information overload. We've had so much going behind this, and there's everything's so tightly connected anymore in this world of avionics that you come out with one thing and you end up updating software in a couple of different areas. So that's where we appreciate everything that you guys are doing to help Garmin continue to be successful. So we certainly couldn't do it without you. We thank you for your attendance once again, and we wish you the best of luck selling these products and bringing customers smiling faces into your doors. Anything else, Jim?
That's it. Appreciate any feedback from you guys, and obviously we're in full tilt for Oshkosh, so anyone that's out there, please come see us out there.
Good point. We will have incredible demonstrations available up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin as part of the EAA Air Venture. So if you'll be able to see everything that we've talked about here in full live demonstration using real hardware. Obviously, we're inches away from certification and shipping this. So come see the real deal. We've got a lot of excitement going around our booth this year, a whole new layout in our outdoor space that I think everybody will enjoy and appreciate, including air conditioning inside of the seminar tents. So come by and check that out. We'll have a lot going on with Garmin Verb and some exciting videos that we've collected, and a lot of great things going on in the Garmin world. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.